You wake up in a world where every sign is readable, every song is understandable, and every stranger's words slide into your mind like they were always yours. The premise lands first. What if there was only one big language on Earth? Not a dominant lingua franca sitting on top of thousands of smaller tongues, but a single shared language spoken everywhere, from the smallest village to the biggest capital, from lullabies to laws. From jokes to prayers. At first it feels like a solved problem. Like humanity finally removed the static between minds. No translation errors. No accents used as weapons. No borders disguised as grammar. Diplomacy becomes faster. Science accelerates. Trade becomes frictionless. A kid in Lagos can read a book from Seoul with zero barrier. A farmer in Peru can follow a medical guide written in Helsinki without a second thought. Wars sparked by misunderstandings shrink, and the world celebrates like it has reached a higher stage of civilization. The first turn is the productivity boom. Global education skyrockets because learning materials become universal. Migration becomes easier because language no longer gates opportunity. International law becomes tighter because loopholes cannot hide in translation. The internet turns into a single conversation instead of a billion bubbles. Knowledge spreads so quickly that entire industries transform in a decade. It looks like unity, and in many ways it is. Then the second turn arrives. Quiet and uncomfortable, the world starts to lose something, and most people cannot name it at first. Humor becomes flatter, because jokes live in the strange angles of words, and those angles get sanded down when everyone uses the same tool. Poetry becomes more efficient and less mysterious. Names start to converge because parents pick what sounds good in the global tongue, and good becomes a narrow corridor when the whole planet is listening. Dialects do not have room to breathe, because every deviation gets corrected instantly by constant exposure to the standard. Children grow up with fewer private codes that belong only to their family, their street, their region. The world becomes more connected and also more uniform, like a forest planted in perfect rows. Another turn, power shifts, because a single language always has a center. Even if it was designed to be neutral, even if it was voted on, even if it was engineered by committees, it still needs standards, dictionaries, grammar boards, official terms for new inventions, new laws, new identities. And the moment there is an official standard, there is someone who can edit reality. Language is not just communication. It is the operating system of thought, the way a society decides what is real enough to name. In this world, the language authority becomes one of the most influential institutions on the planet, because whoever controls definitions controls debates before they even start. A single new word can legitimize a movement. A single banned phrase can suffocate it. The next turn turns darker. Censorship becomes cleaner. In a world with many languages, banned ideas leak through translation, survive in metaphor, hide in dialects, migrate across borders as slang. With one language, suppression scales globally. Algorithms do not need to translate hate or dissent. They catch it instantly. A government does not have to police thousands of tongues. It polices one channel and calls it safety. Propaganda becomes more efficient because it does not need cultural adapters. It can be written once and broadcast everywhere. The world gains clarity and loses friction, and people discover that friction was sometimes the only thing slowing the spread of manipulation. Then the twist everyone misses at first. Memory changes. When languages die, entire ways of seeing die with them, because different languages carve up reality differently. Some languages force you to always encode whether you witnessed something or heard it from someone else. Some force you to always mark respect, obligation, closeness, distance. Some carry dozens of words for snow or rain or the sea because the environment shaped attention. With one language, the planet's attention narrows. People still see the world, but they see it through one set of categories, one way of slicing time, one way of mapping relationships. Culture begins to globalize not just through media, but through cognition. And suddenly the world feels easier to manage, which is another way of saying easier to control. Another turn, conflict does not disappear, it mutates. Humans stop fighting over misunderstandings and start fighting over meanings. If everyone shares the same words, then arguments become more intense because no one can retreat to "you don't understand my language." Everyone understands. Everyone hears the insult perfectly. Everyone catches the implication. Online fights become more brutal because nuance becomes a battlefield and the entire planet has the same weapon. Politics becomes semantic warfare, not about facts but about which definitions win. Freedom becomes a contested property. Justice becomes a brand. Truth becomes a product. In a strange way, a single language unites people enough to let them hate each other with higher precision. Then comes the dark twist. A single language creates a single failure point. One global glitch in meaning can cascade into catastrophe. A slightly altered definition in the medical standard can change treatment worldwide. A subtle shift in legal phrasing can rewrite rights across borders overnight. A coordinated disinformation campaign can seed the same misinterpretation everywhere, and there is no alternative linguistic ecosystem to buffer the shock. It is like running the entire planet on one server. Efficient until it breaks. And it does break, because language is alive, and living things get used. The world's most powerful actors begin to weaponize the language authority the way ancient empires weaponized religion. They lobby to formalize phrases that favor their interests. They push euphemisms that soften violence. They popularize terms that make exploitation sound like opportunity. People do not notice at first because it happens at the speed of normal updates. The word for surveillance becomes care. The word for censorship becomes harmony. The word for inequality becomes difference. And because everyone speaks the same language, everyone absorbs the same framing, the same emotional color attached to each concept. The world becomes a single choir singing the same song, and the scariest part is that the song is catchy. The final turn arrives as a rebellion, not with guns, but with new sounds. Small communities begin inventing micro-languages again, not out of nostalgia, but out of survival. They create slang that cannot be parsed by algorithms. They revive old dialects like hidden tunnels. They teach children secret words the way past generations taught secret prayers. Art becomes a smuggling operation for meaning. People rediscover that plurality is not just cultural decoration, it is resilience. And the aha lands with cold clarity. The real question is not whether one big language would unite humanity. It is what humanity would trade away to get that unity. Because language is not only a bridge, it is a shelter. It is where people hide their wounds, their humor, their history, their values, their resistance. A single language makes connection easy, but it also makes the mind easier to standardize. In the end, the world learns that misunderstanding was never the only reason for conflict, and clarity was never a guarantee of peace. The most dangerous part of one big language is not that it would erase difference. It is that it would make difference harder to protect. If you want more cinematic what-if stories that take a simple idea and push it until it reveals the sharp edge underneath, like and subscribe. And comment what you want next. If humanity had one language, who do you think would end up controlling what the words mean?